Yet?
Not at all.
Yeah, you need to log in before I can add you. Ashley, have you logged in?
No.
You need to both log in quickly.
Okay. It's good. I'd rather just watch.
That's all right then, as long as you don't mind watching. Tobin, I assume you want to have a go.
Right.
Log in. Come on.
Right, assist me.
You just go to ronin.ura.
Cloud.
Yeah, and then you log in.
I'm just keen to use up some School of Maths money.
Yes.
So why wouldn't you log in? Okay.
Tell me once. Can you now see it, Miriam?
No.
You sure? I pressed the clicky button. You might have to refresh.
Yeah. There it is.
No, that's a download. You want that.
Yeah, but yeah, just go to ronin.ura.cloud. Have you logged in?
We've logged in.
Cool. So I should be able to now go Tobin. There you are, Tobin.
And then click the clicky button.
Click the clicky button, take me to the dashboard. When you refresh, you should be able to see it. Okay, so this is a thing called Ronin. What Ronin will let you do is it gives you very easy access to Amazon Cloud Services. Amazon Cloud Services is really hard to normally use. So Ronin is a company that makes it easy. We have a license at the university to do this, and I've arranged that at the moment we have $500 worth of whatever we want to do with it. That will switch off in the next 2 days. So in the meantime, you're very welcome to use it and have a play and have a go. So what we're going to do is you're all going to spin up a computer, and then we're going to have a play doing some analysis on a Amazon Cloud server. So what you should do is you should see something that looks like this. If not, just where you saw that project, click on it and go in. What we're going to do is we're going to spin up a machine. So if you go to the left, see where it says machines? Click on that and say new machine. So if it's working, this should now load up.
Can we all set up our own machine?
Yeah, no, you're going to all set up your own machine.
How much does it cost to run a machine for? Like, is there a time?
It tells you'll see it when we start building it.
Presumably the more complicated it costs you more. Would be my
Yeah.
guess, right?
The more power, more money.
Yeah.
Certain rate per minimally.
Select both the operating system and just select.
Mine's taken a while and I'm bored with that, so I'm going to try again.
It's a shame. It's like the most interesting workshop we're going to have. It's a bit harsh. No, it's a workshop. This is going to be good. Someone has said, the S3 said, yeah, but the water packages is felt. Basically, we're all going to put more than that.
Yeah.
Could be knowledge.
Apart from when Joe knows something. Does that count?
No, I mean,
Right, look, just log in, make it have got one point.
Mine's taken ages. Has anyone actually got beyond the new machine thing?
yes.
Yes.
Cool, let me have a look at yours so I can show you what to do next.
Right, so back into the thing. Oh, right, good.
Now, software. First of all, go to software.
Our studio.
No.
Now,
I've actually, see where it says project packages? If you click search, you should see one called, which one was the latest one?
6.2.
Yeah, version, select that. So what I did is I took our studio, loaded it, but then I installed Spark PR and packaging, so it's all ready to go, and that's a snapshot. So once you've chosen that, then the next thing you're going to do is, that gives you, you can see it's a T2 medium. with 20 gig of memory. Then you're going to do address.
That's not what mine says.
You can put a plug into the monitor if you want, projector.
That would be helpful.
Yeah, that way everyone else can see it. Mine says 20 gigabyte SSD, not T2 media. Middle one. Sorry, you have to work with a 13-inch.
I know it is. So we'll go back.
Alright, you're gonna have to do some swiping.
Oh,
Just change it to mirror rather than
Oh,
set
do you know
it to
set it to
go to
mirror?
system preferences.
You want to put that to mirror?
Yeah. Displays. That's interesting. I could have sworn it would arrangement mirror displays.
Cool. Thank you.
Voila. And hotkey is Control Shift up to full screen up. Alright, all yours.
Thank you. So first of all, software. If you go down to Project Packages and click Search, it will come up. I want you to choose this one here, which is just an RStudio, but it's set up so it's got installed. I installed everything. I got Java on there. I set it all up ready to go. So then once I've selected that, I close. This has already selected a machine, but we'll now go to address. And to do address here, I'm going to do Tobin. And that will wait, and it will check and say the address is available. So we're going to have a little thing for Tobin called tobin.ua.cloud. You choose your name. Then storage, we're fine with what we've got. We're happy.
John,
Yep.
mine says 20 gigabyte SSD, not medium, but there's an option for machine quick select. Should I click the medium one?
Yeah, it doesn't matter. You can change it later.
Oh, okay. They just didn't have the medium thing there.
Now, hopefully, if this works, this should now have a green button.
Do we need to select storage or not bother?
I didn't bother.
Never mind. Yeah.
Yeah. It's just extra storage.
You chose the medium machine?
Yep. So my machine type, if I go back to the top, is at the medium at the moment. If you want something smaller, you go small. If you want something larger, and you see how much you're going to go from 6 cents an hour to 12.
See you, dashboard.
So has everyone sort of got to the point that they've got something that has an address, etc., storage, and they've got a green rocket ship?
Should we launch off?
Well, let's see what it does. So you go and you click green. And what it's going to do now is you need to create yourself a key, because you need to sort of have a way of the computer knowing that this computer is going to connect to your server. So when you get to this point, see it says here create. You're going to go to create, and you're going to click and go create a new SSH key. So you give it a name. So I'm going to call it Tobin, and it creates an SSH. SSH is a way of doing security. You have a public and a private key, and it's a way of this computer recognizing that this individual laptop is Tobin. So when I click generate SSH key, it basically downloads into his things. The thing down here, you can see it says tobin.pem. Now you can put that in your keychain, but for this we don't need to worry. Okay, let's go. So now if I want to use that, I can choose that key that we've just downloaded and go launch my machine.
Ignore the fact that it loads.
And then I can say, show me my new machine. And if you're working well, what will happen is you will have a machine. So this is now spinning up an Amazon Cloud server. This is your username, Ubuntu. This is the address. It's waiting to go or ready to go.
This is so much handier than web. This is nice.
Yeah, this is really nice. They basically don't design it. It's almost like a shopping cart. You go and say, well, this machine, this machine, this machine, bang, it's doing it. So now, once it's running, It has a thing called Open with Ronin link. Has anyone got to that point?
I haven't got a key yet. It's still in progress.
Okay.
You don't have Ronin Link installed yet, though, so you might want to install Ronin Link whilst you wait. If Ronin Link not installed, it's an app. So that was that blog link that you clicked on incorrectly? That's got the Ronin Link app on it.
Let me load up Slack.
So if we do that, and
And it's going to try and launch the application Ronin Link. Oh, and download and run Ronin Link. Right, for Mac. Ignore the thousands of tabs that are open. It was a long night.
I'll let you install it. I don't know your password, honest.
What's the point of this workshop?
It's to show you how you would do Amazon Cloud Services stuff. So roaming in the long term will hopefully become university-wide, and individual supervisors will have resources on it. So when you have a problem that needs more grunt and your computer's not strong enough, you instead can run all your code on a bigger computer.
Okay.
So at the moment, when you need to have more grunt, we get used to use Phoenix. This is another alternative to Phoenix. It basically gives you supercomputer access from your computer.
Phoenix, like the mythical beast, often dies and is reborn.
Yes.
Which is a fantastic
That's
name.
a
Do you reckon they
great-
thought about that beforehand? Because
Open.
Josh made that comment to me a while ago and I quite liked it.
Alright. And now.
Now go
close
back to
that,
where we went to before.
Close that.
Yeah, click Open with Ronin link.
Let the magic happen. Open Ronin Link.
Show me.
Hey. Alright. Take over. You know what you're doing.
Yep. So where are people up to at the moment?
And click Show me my new machine.
Yeah, that's good. How are you going, Patrick? Have you clicked on the Open Ronin link and got to something that looks like this? Yep. So what this has done is this extra app has taken the address from your thing. So if we just look at the comparison. So when Tobin set it up in his machine, here's the address, the tobin.ua.cloud. Here's the username here will just be Ubuntu. And also here's his SSH key to do it. When you open up in Ronin Link, you can see it's transferred the information. It's got here tobin.ua Adelaide, the link, the username. It's already put tobin.perm in there. You can always select it. And it's linked it. This machine's ready to go. And you could click on this and you could now get a command line interface to use that machine. So at the moment, somewhere in, we'll assume America, there is a machine that has a little section that is now a little RStudio Unix interface that Toby can now play in. But you can do more. If you look here, you can go Show Me Team Tools. If I click this one down, there's one called Link to My Desktop. We're going to click on that, and we want the RStudio one. Notice it says the username default is RStudio, password RStudio. You click up. You need to put your password in. It's too short. But anyway.
Yeah, I know.
Don't worry, things that are more important.
So you click link. Oh, you still need to do it again.
Well, doesn't he want to put it in wrong? So, gone are the days of having to use terminal to transfer your files
Yeah.
onto a machine and run it.
So this is open a thing in his web browser that looks like RStudio. And now if I put RStudio, and click sign in, we now have a thing that looks like RStudio. Yeah, that's probably because I was messing around. So you should have everything ready to go. I've got some code in there for you. And he's now running RStudio on an Amazon Cloud server.
That's much cool. That's so much nicer than the Phoenix. That's just phenomenally cool. There was no MATLAB option on there.
I'm sure But
I'm
they
sure
do.
you'd be able to do it. On Ronin, like, you might take some work.
The problem with MATLAB is the licenses.
True.
Has anyone got to our studio?
Still loading.
Cool.
Just go to Ronin Link and enter it all manually and it'll work. Because mine had the loading for a long time. I just went to the Ronin Link app and entered it all and it's worked. Oh, and you've already got it running.
When you
now.
now link to our studio.
Fantastic. Show me. Very good. Oh yeah, no, okay. Check your browsing, like your Google Chrome or whatever you use. Because it may have just opened up there with that emailing. What's weirding me out is this is just running on local host, and it's not specifying a port. It's neat. But every local host you've ever run requires you to specify a port. I understand absolutely. This is legitimate.
You like that?
This is the best thing since I I definitely forego slides.
The problem is most people have never tried to do Amazon Cloud Services. You don't understand. To do Amazon Cloud Services will take you at least a day.
Oh, I've tried and I just have no idea how to do it. Takes forever. Is it right? I'll try and move to the phone first. Let's do that. Yeah, I fully sucking it. Us just destroying the video. You know, the point with Phoenix is that, like, I've got to the point now where I don't even close my terminal windows because if I click up, I have, like, previous commands to copy because I don't want it to be typed. I'm telling you, I mean, you've got the little SSHP shit, yeah. Just straight to my fast directory. That's so good. Can't remember how to. I don't remember how to get this thing. The bash. Yeah, you have to. Let's go bash. Bash. And then you have to do that week.
So we can see everyone's thing. We've got Miriam, Patrick, Tobin, Josh. That's really good. My machine is spinning up as well. So I can see, you probably can't, you might be able to see one of those machines. I can see because I own the project.
We can see everyone's.
Yeah. So you can, if you really want at this point, and me and Ben spent a lot of time doing this, delete other people's machines. It's hilarious.
As in, like, whilst it's running with code for a couple of days, just kill it.
Yep. Now, there's things you can do with this, which is really nice. First of all, for example, I can look at Miriam's, and I can see how much she's going to cost me. $45 a month, which is really nice. You can now go to your... You can also do things like, say, do smart schedule. Say, look, only run it between 9 and 5. Just run it overnight, stuff like that. And it will tell you how much extra money. And you can save that.
Is it cheaper to run it during non-busy times?
Yes, and you can actually do a thing where you say, when it's non-busy, just spin up a machine then. So you can actually be quite clever with some of the stuff it's doing. So each of these is a machine that's running, and then so you can actually look at that. You're using this Ronin link to give you access to your studio through a web interface. It's just opening the ports and logging in for you. So I just wait for mine to finish running.
I would, but I haven't seen that. I can't be bothered writing code to use it. Just do while true. So I actually don't actively like wasting the school's money. I want them to you've been given the budget, so have some fun with it. Because I want them to be like, wow, this is so financially viable. Let's let everyone use Ronin instead of the Phoenix, so I never have to log into the Phoenix.
Yeah, I'm a bit like that. Phoenix is just faffy.
Oh, you're all haters. Like, I've even got aliases set up to do the work for me still.
So mine doesn't quite look at yours at the moment because I'm still waiting for mine to... Oh, it's running. Let me open it.
But did it connect to our studio once it's still set linking? Could you just open a URL in the browser or?
No, it had to just go through, but if it didn't work, I'm not sure then. You could just try and do it again, like close it and start again. Smooth spines.
Okay, so this is basically RStudio, but you're running it on another machine. You're running it in America. So we're going to do some Sparkly R. So Hadoop was the main version of MapReduce. Spark came along. Spark R is an interface of Spark and R. And then RStudio made a thing called Sparkly R. So Sparkly R is here. So what we're going to do is open up this file and we're going to run some stuff. So first of all, the nice thing about this interface is it's running RStudio on the Amazon Cloud Server and we can mess around with it. I've installed various stuff. You can upload your files to it directly. See here, you've got an upload button. So if you want to upload your data, you can just upload your files. You can run it on this machine and then push it to that and say, go do it. So we're going to install this and hopefully it will work. So first we'll run the libraries. And what I've done is I've got 3 things that hopefully I've installed all the packages ready to go. So I've got, first of all, Sparkly R, Tidyverse, and this flights data. So when you first run Sparkly R, you need to install Spark. And then sometimes your computer won't find it, because you can run Sparkly R on these computers. You just have to install Spark. Then Spark needs Java. You might have to set up Java. On these cloud servers, this is the advantage is I set it all up on this cloud server, took a snapshot, so everything's ready to run for you lot. You don't have to do that for yourselves. For my home version, I have to let it know where my Java is. So this command here, so here's the Spark install command to actually install Spark. You just type it and it goes to the internet and downloads Spark. This command I need to let because I have multiple Javas on my system, to let it know which Java it needs to do. So what we're going to do is, first of all, we're going to set up a Spark Connect. So we're actually going to set up a little Spark cluster. So this command will make it in the local machine, which at your point now is a Amazon Cloud Server. So I'm just going to run this, and it will take some time. And once it starts running, you should notice over here you've got a thing called Connections, the top right. So this is setting up. Remember how I talked about distributed file systems in that MapReduce? You're now going to have basically a Spark machine running that is acting like one of them stacks or arrays. So once this is running, if you look at connections over here, it's come up. It's setting me up basically a whole cluster system so I can do MapReduce type stuff. The moment there's nothing in there, you can see the connection, it says no tables. So next I'm going to do is I'm going to move some data into this. So here I'm saying I'm going to create a new thing called flights table. I'm going to copy to my machine, my SC machine, the flights data. So I'm just going to copy this big flights data across. And that will take ages to copy across.
How big is the data?
We'll find out in a second.
Ooh. Oh yeah. No, I'm saying 336,000.
I can't even count that big.
So now you can see over here, flights has appeared. There's flights. And you can just also run that as a command and it will tell you what tables you have. So it's saying down here what tables. You can also get your dimension. And when it runs that, we can see that it's got 336,000 flight entries. Okay? Now, the first nice thing about Sparkly R is it still has a lot of the standard dplyr functions. So, for example, I can go flights, migrate, filter, the departure delay is equal to 2. And it will run really fast. But be careful. When you run it, it's not actually running it. It's almost a promise. Notice when I run this command here, it came and it said, there you are, there's the ones. Actually, it went and got a selection so you can test your code. But notice it's got question mark, question mark. What it's doing at the moment, it's like you're testing, it's going and saying, this is what it would look like if you did this command. but I'm not going to do it all because it's going to take a long time. So you can play around with your dplyr and see what it's going to do, but it's not actually going to do it. But let's actually do something where we're going to do it. So now I'm going to do here, this should look very familiar to what we've done before. We're going to take our data set, we're going to group by tail number, we're going to do a count, we're going to do some means, etc. And we're going to filter. And then the only thing that's new is this collect. So as I said, when you do dplyr at the moment, it goes and it sort of shows you what it would look like, but it doesn't do it on the entire data set. It just starts showing you an example. Collect says, no, go and now actually run the whole thing and bring the results back into this RStudio. So we can do that. And you find anytime you run these commands and you say collect, now everything takes that a little bit longer. Not too bad. But now I can still use ggplot2. And what we'll do here is run this and it should do a plot. Here you've got the distance and the average delay.
And it chose to just use a GAN because of the data.
Yeah. Okay. So now we're going to start. So at the moment it looks like pretty well standard. The only command we had new was collect. And collect just said, actually don't just see if it's possible, actually go and get the results. Be very careful to collect. Sometimes you do something and you go collect and then you can go and have a nice cup of tea. By cup of tea, I mean live your life and tell your grandchildren about it.
Is this also working like the dplyr fashion, or is it already doing some kind of map reduce?
Doing some map reduce. It's optimized to go as fast as it can.
Alright.
Yeah. So the next thing is SparkLR has a whole new suite of stuff. The first thing that's different is the way that Spark deals with categorical data, etc. is you have these extra commands. So here, I've got a thing called FT, which is for basically, I can't remember what it stands for, but it's for transforming your data. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to create a binarizer. A binarizer basically will create you a binary categorical variable. So here I'm saying my input column will be depart delay, the name will be delayed, and the threshold will be 5. So what I'm saying is anything that is greater than 5 we will set as 1. Anything that's less than or equal to 5 will set as a 0. The next one I do here is I'm also going to do a bucketizer, and a bucketizer will basically do our standard bins. Here's the input column, here's the output column, here's the splits I'm going to do. So run that command. I did a histogram there to choose, so you see why I chose the buckets. Bucketizer. So here's my histogram. And I went, fine, it's pretty right skewed, I will just split, and then I can create my buckets. So now if I actually have a look at the data, I should have some extra columns in here called delay bin and delayed. You can see down at the bottom. Then what I did is I just select them and I remove missing, so standard stuff, and I've ended up with this is my data frame. So what we're going to do now is we're going to fit a random forest. So first of all, I'm going to do a partitioning into 2 parts. I'm going to have a test data set, which is 20% of that, and a train. And the way you split it in SparkLR is there's a command called SDF, random split. So I'm going to split that data, and I'm just going to see that it works. So have a go at splitting your data.
It gives you only a promise when you output it though.
Pardon?
It doesn't even, it still doesn't know how big it is when you output it. Like it's again that whole promise idea.
Yeah. It's basically saying, can I do it? I'm not going to do it until you definitely, absolutely tell me. So, to do any sort of machine learning, you have a whole series of machine learning called ML for machine learning. So here's my logistic regression and here's my random forest. So I set up a formula. So I'm going to do delayed on carrier and delay bin. I'm going to fit 2. I'm going to do logistic regression and a random forest. Then I'm going to bundle that into a single list because I want to compare the results. And the nice thing is, with all these, it's doing all that map reduce stuff we talked about. I don't have to think about it. When I go ML logistic regression, it is doing a map reduce logistic regression. It is doing all the splitting, all the mapping, all the reducing calculations automatically. It's all bundled in. Okay, it's going to take, well, you can see it took a time. Here, I run my random forest as well. But it's, and the nice thing is, let's say you got your code and you went, that's okay, it's taking too long. You can snapshot this, you can close your machine down, and you can just go, right, for the next hour, give me the biggest machine you've got on Ronin. You open it again now, and then just go, now, go for it. So you can test your code, and then you go to Ronin and say, like, I'm testing, and I have to start with a little small machine, make sure it works, and then if I really need something, I go, roughly, I reckon it'll take about an hour. I will pay $5 to have the best machine Amazon can give me for an hour. And off it goes. So now we put them together. I've created a little function here that will take a model and predict for that with the new test data, and then select, do a quick lapply, and I'm going to do some fancy stuff to compare it. And finally, we can look at our model. Lift is basically the equivalent of the standard, you know, it's a measure, instead of doing your usual ROC. The reason I'm using Lift is, you'll see finally there was a URL. I followed that tutorial to give an example of the data set that worked. So it's a very short workshop. The idea was to show that first of all, Ronin is a thing you should keep an eye on, because hopefully the university will start doing it. Hopefully then various supervisors will see how fast and easy it is and start putting funds in. And it now means that you as their students will hopefully be able to have access to it, first of all. The other thing you should keep an eye on is the Sparkly R. As you can see, it is reasonably similar to stuff you've done before, but it takes care of all the, you know, I didn't have to split, I didn't have to know all the commands that we did in that lecture. I just go ml_ random forest. If you go and look at the Sparkly R website, it has lots and lots of examples of really big data sets and doing it. So it was just a quick show you what you can do to see how you do it. The problem is that if you've never actually tried to do this, I mean, Josh has had to go with Phoenix. So how does this compare with Phoenix?
It's got an interface. It's pretty much the biggest
You can
difference.
use it.
Yeah. Yeah. Has anyone else done any cloud computing?
I mean, it's just so convenient to not have to move files across through command through terminal. It's just a pain in the ass.
And the other nice thing is, remember that as long as that machine's running, if I set something running and I switch off the web browser, that machine's still doing my code, I can just log in. The moment your web browser is just a little window into what your computer's doing. You can actually get over access. I mean, I did this because you're used to RStudio. If you want to as well, you can also
Can you set it up to like email you when it starts?
Yep.
Like,
so there now I've connected actually, this is my, you know, data set and where I'm actually at. This is how I install Java and stuff like that. Any questions?
do you want to talk us through that plot?
This plot?
Yeah. Without looking at the code, I just wanted to
Yeah, I think the idea you're basically looking at is that I don't know much about Lyft. I just use what they used. They're doing a mutate, they're grouping by, they're summarizing, they're doing a count. So it's a quick, dirty version of a ROC curve.
So presumably, therefore, we would go random forest.
Yeah,
Good at this.
random forest seems to be looking a lot better for this particular problem. because they're looking at, you've got your bin and the proportion. So I think that's the proportion that you've got correct. So let's have a look at the proportion. Prop equals count over sum count, and count equals the sum of the delayed. So it's just doing a true positive rate as a rough rule of thumb.
So it's just a variant.
Yeah.
So here, doing a fun trick while we've got trumps. So go to the Ronin again.
Yeah.
There might be another way. And then you're in the terminal, type HTOP, HTOP. And that will show you your CPU and memory usage and all of the processes running on your virtual machine.
How much it would cost you? That'd be interesting.
Ooh.
You'd be next to nothing. I mean, I saw this used. They did a whole workshop on ancient DNA, and we would just have a different project for every day. I'm interested in showing it to ASIMs and trying to persuade my colleagues to start using it, because I think it's that easy.
In terms of the cell thing, there is flat out Jupyter notebooks you can use. You've got Lewis set.
Yeah.
My being if MATLAB's not easy to use, that takes out a lot of the applied probability bit.
Yeah, well, start
You
coding in good language.
You can't do matrices. What's the point? Oh, come on. There's nothing better than MATLAB for matrices. I'll fight you about it.
I would argue that, I bet you Matt Ron would argue that Julia is better.
Oh yeah, well, fuck Julia.
Well, if Julia's open
So
source.
white space language. I hate it.
Listen, but Julia's nice.
No, MATLAB's not. But the thing is, I have access to MATLAB, so I like it. I have a license. You can't try and tell me that Python's better than MATLAB. Use that. Matrices. You have to install a separate
it's
package.
not as easy to use matrices, which is why you use Julia.
If you install a separate package, enough for you to actually be able to deal with the range.
But I think Julia is better. That's just the rate.
I'm not sure, but it'd be worthwhile asking them, because it'd just be a matter of setting up the license. So I think that definitely they could use MATLAB on that. That's the problem, though, with anything that is not open source. That's why a lot of us are now going Julia, Python, R.
That's when Julia.
It's because it's open source.
Yeah.
And the problem is we train you to use a very specific piece of software that when you leave here, if the next place doesn't have, you have lost a lot of your skills.
Yeah.
While if we teach you Python, Julia, R, then your skills are transferable.
And if they have MATLAB, which is a less strict version of Julia, like it's an easy to follow.
Any questions?
Actually,
Do that work if the engineer with the trailer?
I sent him with MATLAB coding. He's like, I can't use that. It's like, oh, sorry, I had to run it in my computer to make sure it would work on it before I sent it to him.
Yeah.
I don't know
I've
what
never
MATLAB
used Octet. I know Tony Robinson's been trying.
It's
few syntactical differences, but it's the same stuff.
It's really good when you can't be bothered, like you have to run some MATLAB code because Tony Robinson told you some function and you need to know what it does, but you don't want to bother opening up MATLAB. You just like load up terminal. In fact, I have a Alfred. If I type in Octave,
You not got the new version of Alfred? Alfred 4's out.
is it?
Yeah.
No way.
2 weeks ago.
So we use 39 cents. 29 cents, sorry. With your $500 budget.
Good.
It's generous budget.
And if you want to, log out, spin your machine down, change the thing, so and put a big machine on there. So if we go down to here, and I go to my dashboard, I should be able to. Oh, where's my machines? Machine summary. We should be able to take this one, pause it. So this is now pausing my machine. And now it's stopped. I should be able to edit this. I'm going to change this to... It's still stopping. Right, now it's stopped. I can now change my machine and we could go to either a large machine or we could probably go to like GPU machines.
Oh yeah, this mine's bitcoins.
We're now getting to $7 an hour.
I feel like there's no need to do that, but you just okay.
Yeah.
Can you get your money back off there, or if you put it up there and it's just stuck now?
So I haven't actually started that machine, but I could spin that machine up. You can actually be clever. There is ways of doing things like auto-scale clusters. So auto-scale cluster does is you can basically say, expand my machine as it needs it. So it can actually look at it as you hit that calculation where it just needs grunt. It will spin up extra clusters for however long you need to do the grunt and then close it back down again.
That's cool.
So it does that sort of stuff. You can also do a thing where you can actually, and I don't know much about this, you can sort of almost bid and say, I'm willing to pay this amount for amount of CPU. And then it will just put your bid in there. And as people are not using it and it becomes free, you can quickly grab it. So you can actually make it cheap, saying, I'll have as many clusters as you can as long as I can have them for like $1 an hour. And then it will go and it just does a bidding war and grabs you what you need on Amazon.
There's the other thing about the Phoenix is the Phoenix you have to put up for a certain amount of time, you estimate how long it will take, choose your callers, all that before it's here, you just run it and it does what it needs.
Yeah, and you can just always, if it's taking a long time, as you saw, I just spun it down. Just you'd have to make a snapshot to make sure any calculations, because it will keep my code and stuff there, but it won't keep anything that's ephemeral.
Yeah.
So you might save it and say store it here,
And bring it back.
bring it out, put more machines, spin it back up. It's really good. I like Ronin. I think if I had a lot of grunt to do, I would basically get a load of. At the moment, the ITDS think this is really good. They paid for the license. They have got. It's ITS now called ITDS. ITS Information Technology
Oh,
Services.
right, like the IT people. Yeah, okay.
Yeah. And they've also put aside so many thousand for people to try. So we're in the early beta. So you lot are the first students to ever have a go at this.
Woo!
So I went to Rowan and said, I'd love my students to have a go. And went, cool.
So they're on to, it's want to, the itins didn't want this.
I can tell you, because they don't have to have hardware. The problem with the Phoenix is it's a great, great computer. But in 2 years' time, it's going to be a slightly shit computer.
We have to upgrade it.
How many you know? If you need a supercomputer that needs twice as much, you just pay. Amazon does all the looking after all the hardware.
Where is the Phoenix?
It is in. Do you remember the Macbeth lecture theatre?
Yeah.
If you go like downstairs in that building, whatever that building's called, downstairs, and you walk down the corridor, you can see the window into it.
Oh, the part of that. Yeah. That's
So, can we all start logging out? Go back to your. You go back to your machine. You can log out of your machine. Up here, you'll find that there's an R Studio. You can sign out, or you can actually quit the current R session. So I'm quitting my R session. Now remember, that just stops me looking at it. It doesn't stop the machine from running. So then you go back to your machines and you can spin it down and then you can delete it. So you've all stopped, which is good, except for Miriam, who's obviously just...
I'm writing some point code.
Yeah, that's it. That's fine, as long as you do something useful. Once it's stopped, see the, where is it? Here, the little settings. Terminate your machine. Terminate. Nice work. So yeah, it was just a quick show. It's a thing that if you're going to do any proper data science in the next 5 years, you need to learn how to do everything on the cloud. I personally believe this is better than Phoenix, but then that's because there was a previous PhD student who took all of our money and used it all up very quickly. So when I tried to use Phoenix, it was almost really slow.
There's someone who's currently following it. Can you look at their number?
Do you know who it is?
I can't remember their name. We'll get it for you right now. I'm sure they've got another 1,000 wing going on there.
What do you think?
really cool. It makes me annoyed in that I really want this as just a tool to use, not even for big data stuff, just everyday stuff. Because I like to be a very mobile coder. And so I've tried to have this kind of thing with a server running on my Mac on level 7.